Lords View Industrial Park is situated to the northeast of Johannesburg between Midrand and Kloorkop. It was at this somewhat unlikely venue that hundreds of road cyclists gathered a few weeks back for an event that is a much needed resource in creating a regular road racing environment for young and old to get into. And it's the brainchild of former top road professional Jeremy Martins and his Bikecraft performance coaching setup. Been running once a month for the last 2 years. In this ever busier, dangerous and traffic congested world of ours, crit or criterium racing is as safe as it gets as road cycling goes. An industrial business park on a quiet and traffic-free weekend is an ideal place to host an event just like this. Crits are massively popular in Europe and the United States, where traditionally they take place in and around a closed city or town centre circuit, drawing riders and spectators in good numbers. Aside from the safety considerations, crit racing is regarded as one of the best ways for riders to learn the craft of racing in bunches around a short, sharp technical circuit. At Lords View, Martins had created a 3.2 kilometre lap in which riders could test themselves.
There's a lot of mass participation fun rides out there, which is fantastic. It's great for the masses in South Africa. People need to ride bikes. Then also gravel racing is becoming quite big now, and then as well as mountain biking. But I think for the sport of bicycle racing, this is what we need to promote on. Coaching started becoming a much bigger part of what I do. So it went from Monday to Friday in the office, and then weekends at bike racing, and then I decided to go full-time into coaching 2 years ago. The whole concept with this is to promote the sport of bike racing. Every year the juniors, and even to an extent under 23s, go to World Champs and they get a warm club. Physically they are relatively close, but from a skills perspective and from an overall riding perspective, the guys aren't used to riding in fast-moving bunches on a technical route. This type of racing, short circuit, bang, 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 quick decisions. This is the difference between being bike racing and I think I'm probably being a bit critical here, mass participation fun ride events. It's about bike racing. So when guys do go over to Europe, they're at least more better equipped and understand what bike racing is.
The morning's racing is split into different categories. C category is for the masters, the veterans and scholars under 15, and they'd race 6 laps of the course. The B category for the younger veterans, slightly more competitive perhaps, and the boys and girls under 17. And then the A category is for the elite and professional men and women, as well as the junior men and women. The course is a good test of all skills, with a long downhill and sweeping left and right hand bends. The bulk of the 58 metres of elevation gain on each lap is contained in a 1.2 kilometre drag up towards the finish. It's fast and technical, and a very good test of riders' all-round skills and strength, particularly riding in a competitive bunch. The older amateurs and vets get to indulge their competitive side for no more than around 40 minutes of hard racing. Predictably, there is some extremely tight and tactical racing among the younger riders. There's no better way for them to learn how to get into a break and stay there, and to fight off attacks, and perhaps to time a sprint finish to absolute perfection. While mass participation events are hugely popular for thousands of amateur riders around the country who are not necessarily racers, this is a form of racing that taps into the real racers' competitive souls. And the elites and pros, well, they're keen to take every racing opportunity in an environment that is seeing fewer and fewer races for them to take part in. And they provide a spectacular sight for those spectators. It can be very tactical, and those spectators can get up close and personal views of the racing. The women's race was dominated by the customised Pertec team. The lone rider from Sandton City Cycle Nation, Lisa Bone, was really up against it. She was isolated for much of the race, and she had her hands full trying to outwit her rivals. And they were not going to let her escape that easily. Using their numerical advantage wisely, Pertec were able to set up Lucy Young for the victory. Her teammates Melissa Kretzinger and Helen Olivach were second and third.
What's amazing about the crit is, it's a shorter distance than these big races. It's safe. You have lots of friends, and it's just a really good time. on the hill, after my teammate had just attacked, I countered and then broke loose and almost time-trialed my way to the finish.
The elite men's race was loaded with some hard-nosed racers, all keen to show their form. Ruan Deploy of the RKC Collective was in the Eastside Crits Series leaders yellow jersey. Team Avenir Vision had a swathe of strong young riders, while TEG Pro Cycling were well represented, as was a team we recently featured here on Toyota Cadence, Team Aluwani. In a change of format from the other races, the elite men raced as a points race format. They would do 12 laps with an intermediate sprint every 4 laps. This made for thrillingly exciting racing. On laps 4 and 8 there would be points earned, 3, 2 and 1 for the first 3 across the line. And then to really spice things up, the final lap carried double points for the top 3, 6, 4 and 2. This format ensured that things could change dramatically on the final lap. For example, a rider who had only earned 1 point on lap 4 and nothing on lap 8 could win the entire thing by winning the final sprint. Early on, TEG and Avenir Vision had a rider up the road. Brandon Downs is a man you don't want to quibble with. Aluwani and RKC Collective then began to work to join the break. Eventually there were 7 riders in a break off the front. The racing was intense. They had to be very, very tactically astute here. Don't work on the front for too long, particularly with sprints coming every 4 laps. Brandon Downs took a win to collect 3 points for TEG Pro Cycling. But the man they all feared was Deploy, a big powerhouse from RKC Collective in the yellow jersey. His teammate Chris Jooster was doing great work in his cause. On the second sprint, it came down to Teg's Brandon Downs and Ruan Deploy going head-to-head. Downs knew his only real chance was trying to get away on the long drag to the finish. But Deploy was going nowhere. While the rest was suffering under the intense pace being set by the pair, Deploy turned up the heat. And he was able to take the points on lap 8. With double points on the line on the final lap, it was boiling up to a thrilling finish with Downs and Deploy the main actors. But then cycling played its cruel hand, one familiar to riders all over the world, as Downs had a puncture on the final lap. Race over for the former winner of the 947 ride, Joburg. This left Ruan Deploy of RKC Collective to cruise over the line and take in the end a fairly comfortable win. Eric Cross of Team Avenir Vision was second, and TEG Pro Cycling's Emil van Niekerk took third place.
It's always nice to win. I don't think anyone will ever complain winning. And I'll be honest, I've been training for these criteria, so just keeping them like in routine for the last few months, because it's for one, it's really fun to race. Like this type of circuit racing is always fun. You can see today there's crowds along the street. It brings the people in, it brings the gears in. So yeah, from my side, I just love this type of racing, because it gives like someone like my parents the opportunity to come and watch, you know.
The next crit is actually the Gauteng Provincial Champs, so that's going to be very exciting. And then we are going into race season now, so we've got 947 coming up, Hamashova. So it's always good to have a good training day out.